capital. Here are the headlines. After bagging the highest national honor in Guinea-Bissau, President Buhari heads for Daura on a private visit. Senate resolves to slash 2023 budget of MDAs for failing to appear before its Committee on Public Accounts. House of Representatives tasked Ministry of Petroleum Resources and the NNPC Limited to expedite search for hydrocarbon in Bidda Basin area. President Muhammadu Buhari is back in the country after a one-day official visit to the Republic of Guinea-Bissau. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that the president arrived at Umaru Musa Yar'Adua International Airport, Katsina, at about 8 o'clock Wednesday evening. He was received on arrival by the Katsina State Governor, Aminu Bello Masari, and other top officials of his administration. The president then proceeded to Daura, his ancestral home, on a 4-day private visit. The last time President Buhari visited the ancient town was during the Eid al-Kabir Salah celebrations in July this year. The president was also accorded a befitting reception on arrival in Daura, with the paramount ruler of the area, Umar Farouk Umar, leading the welcome party. Now, while in Guinea-Bissau, the president was conferred with the highest national honor of the land in appreciation of his leadership role and contribution to peace, security, stability and democratic governance in that country and to the West African sub-region. During the state visit, a major road was also named after him in the capital, Bissau. State House correspondent has details.
It was a warm and highly befitting welcome for President Muhammadu Buhari by his Guinea-Bissau's counterpart, Umaru Sissoco Embalo, on arrival at Osvaldo Vieira International Airport for a state visit. President Buhari played a significant role in stabilizing the political and security situation in Guinea-Bissau, which faced serious threat of disintegration after the disputed 2020 elections. President Embalo, who is the current chairman of ECOWAS, had maintained that Guinea-Bissau and its people cannot thank President Buhari enough. Consequently, a major road in the capital Bissau was named after the Nigerian leader, and his first major task on arrival was to personally inaugurate it as a mark of honor. And thereafter, at the seat of government, President Muhammadu Buhari was formally decorated by his Guinea-Bissau's counterpart, Umaru Sissoco Embalo, with the country's highest national honors award. A one-on-one meeting was earlier held between the two leaders before joining their respective countries' delegations for bilateral talks on areas of common interest for both Nigeria and Guinea-Bissau. The talks were aimed at deepening and expanding relations between the two countries in critical economic sectors. President Umaru Embalo said President Buhari and Nigeria deserve much more for immensely contributing to the stability and advancement of his country, and hopes that its token of appreciation will further re-energize the relations and propel the two countries to greater heights.
He is our national hero of Guinea-Bissau and Cape Verde, and is a good son of Africa.
President Muhammadu Buhari, who appreciated the honor done to him, promised to remain steadfast in ensuring that Guinea-Bissau remains democratic, stable and prosperous.
Nigeria has on its own, as well as through ECOWAS, intervened at critical periods in the life of this country, making immense direct contributions, as well as by supporting international efforts on the peace process in Guinea-Bissau. This fact has further reinforced our relations, enhanced understanding and the trust between our two countries. Let me assure President Embalo of the continued disposition of Nigeria towards sustaining and strengthening democracy and good governance in our sub-region.
During the visit, various national honors awards were also conferred on Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Onyema, the National Security Advisor, Babagana Munguno, Director General, National Intelligence Agency, Ambassador Ahmed Rufai Abubakar, the State Chief of Protocol, Ambassador Lawal Kazauri, and the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Household and Domestic Matters, Muhammad Sarki Abba.
This is really big for Nigeria because we as a country, we are making enormous sacrifices in the sub-region and on the entire continent. And I think over time it has worried Nigerians that there is no reciprocation on the part of African countries, no appreciation, for the kind of sacrifices we make in order to sustain democracy in those nations, to preserve them as entities, as states and all of that. So what has happened today in Bissau is that Guinea is saying, look, Nigeria has done so much for us under the leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari, and that we're not shy about coming out to tell the world that we are proud to be recipients, of the enormous support given by President Muhammadu Buhari to our country.
The cordial relations between Nigeria and Guinea-Bissau dates back to the West African nation's liberation struggle from Portugal. Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Joining us via Zoom now to further speak on the highest national honor of Guinea-Bissau conferred on President Muhammadu Buhari is former Nigerian ambassador to that country, retired Rear Admiral Adeyemi Afolahan. Thanks for joining us on the news at 10. Good morning.
Good morning, Adia. My name is Admiral Adeyemi Afolahan, retired.
Thank you.
Former Nigerian ambassador to Guinea.
All right. Thank you very much. Yes, we thank you for joining us. Now, what do you think compelled Guinea-Bissau to confer such an honor on President Buhari?
I think Nigeria has done a lot for Guinea-Bissau under the patronage of our President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, because without him, that election wouldn't have taken place. The election that brought President Umaru Sissoco and Balo to the presidency. Nigeria contributed a lot in the process of election, of conducting the elections, and the election was fair, free and fair, and therefore we were able to establish democracy. Regrettably, they almost truncated the democracy in 2021, but thank God, common reason prevailed, and we must also thank our President Muhammadu Buhari, for the support given to that country in terms, in kind and in other ways. In that country, they always recognize Nigeria as the guarantor of democracy, because they knew what we have done for them. The common man loves Nigeria. The government also loves Nigeria. But we want to appeal to the political class to please get their act together so that our efforts will not be in vain. So we also want to thank all the, I want to say that all the Minister of Foreign Affairs and other people in Abuja, they've traveled many times to Guinea-Bissau to make sure that we establish proper democracy in that country, without which we have been futile. But we thank God, everything is calm. But we must not relent our efforts. There's not too much money. We don't say too much money is invested in stability. There's need for security. There's a need for security, and I think that's why the Nigerian contingent has gone back to Guinea-Bissau to ensure that there's security. Also, this credit must go to our president, who has been making sure that all along West African countries will not have crises. Because any crisis in any country in West Africa must be.
Oh, okay. Though your audio is a bit shaky there, but I hope you still can hear me. So it does buttress the point that many have been insisted on, that Nigeria is still the giant of Africa. Do you see some other African countries doing so, as giving the president this type of honor in the future?
The honor done to our president is well deserved. Well deserved. And I want to say congratulations to our president that is alive to receive this honor. I want to say also all the ministers and staff that have supported the government of our president to ensure that we reach this particular point in time in Guinea-Bissau is where this we congratulate them. However, we must not relent in our efforts to make sure that we continue to support Guinea-Bissau. To do otherwise is to allow all our effort to be scattered, which is not our wish. The stability of Guinea-Bissau, and indeed any country in West Africa, it is very, very dear to Nigeria. I must say that. So I want to congratulate our president for receiving this honor, for being alive to receive this honor, and I wish him long life and more decorations for him.
Thank you very much for joining us today, retired Rear Admiral Adeyemi Afola, Nigeria's former ambassador to Guinea-Bissau. Now, elsewhere, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has completed a 3-day bilateral visit to Vietnam, where President Nguyen Xuan Phu says the country prioritizes strengthening ties with Nigeria. State House correspondent Jide Onifade has that report.
Plunging high, hand in hand, and with a big smile, signaling military respect that the two countries for each other. As Vice President Yemi Osinbajo arrives at the Vietnamese seat of government and was received by the Vietnamese leader. Both leaders looked back to where the journey of the two countries began, where it is now, and what the future holds. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo hails the development in the bilateral ties and says this is being taken in a substantive and effective manner.
Just as we have said at all meetings ahead, it is time for a new level in our relationship. It is time for stronger bonds. It is time for more cooperation. It is time for more collaboration. I think we are ready to do that. We and Nigeria are ready to work even more closely with Vietnam to business, commerce, and agriculture, technology, and all the words.
While commending the Vietnamese government for being a jolly good fellow, he says Nigeria will continue to be a worthy partner. The two agreed to exchanging of visits by leadership of both countries to raise mutual understanding and trust and enhance cooperation opportunities, especially in the economy.
There's a lot of benefits and mutual benefits that we are going to be seeing between Nigeria and Vietnam going forward.
Those in the Vice President's delegation include the Deputy Chief of Staff to the President, Ade Baye, and Ambassador Adamu Mamani Hazard of the Nigerian High Commission in Vietnam. Well, the two countries treasure their diplomatic ties, which started way back in 1976, and they have shown strong determination to create a balance of trade via a favorable conditions of imports and exports. In honor, Vietnam. Jide Onifade, NTA News.
This news at 10 is reaching you on NTA News 24. We have more reports ahead. Just stay with us.
Government to Citizens Interface created a forum for government and her parastatals to have a roundtable conversation with her citizens and relevant stakeholders under the leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR. GTC presented a one-day interface between the Federal Inland Revenue Service and all stakeholders on Thursday, 8 November 2022. Benu, North Conference Center, plot 196, Amadubelewe, Kado, Abuja. The job for nation building is an assignment for all. Prime area views on tax collection and fund utilization. Bobby Boy, the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Political Matters, is the convener and announcer.
Thanks for staying with us. The Senate has resolved to slash the 2023 budget of ministries, departments and agencies of government that failed to appear before its Committee on Public Accounts. Ministries, departments and agencies of government are expected to appear before the Parliamentary Committee to defend their service-wide votes. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nkwo has more.
Member of the Revenue Mobility.
At the commencement of plenary, Senator Mato Regide, who is also chairman of Senate Committee on Public Accounts, raised the point of order, calling for decisive action against ministries, departments and agencies of government who are yet to respond to the invitation of the committee.
I don't want to use household that they have become recalcitrant, but they have vehemently refused to appear before our committee. This list of agencies and of course the amount that is attached or that's against their names that they have spent, they are staggering. In the next 1 week, if the name of an agency is here, that agency should reach the Committee on Public Accounts of the Senate to sort out when the agency will appear before the committee. If there is no communication whatsoever and no cogent and verifiable reasons are given, we'll slash the budget.
Senate has confirmed Lanre Bajabia Miller as Director General of the National Lottery Regulatory Commission for a second and final term. The FCT 2023 budget of 502.9 billion naira passed second reading as the senator representing the FCT, Philip Aduda, drew attention of the Senate to the release by the Central Bank of Nigeria on withdrawal limit of the redesigned Naira note and its likely effects.
Our commerce, I don't think, is ready for this, and our economy may not take this shock.
If we want to be a cashless society, we should take time to be cashless society, not to jump at once.
The Nigeria Atomic Energy Commission Act Repeal and Reenactment Bill, sponsored by Senator Emmanuel Oke-Jeff, and the Administration of Criminal Justice Act Amendment Bill by Senator Chukwuka Otazi, passed second reading.
What happens after you've been convicted or your convictions are affirmed by court of appeal and you're instantly taken into custody and you serve 3-4 years and the sentence is 4 years, and at the end of the day Supreme Court rules and set aside the judgment of the lower court? How do they compensate you?
Meanwhile, the Chief Whip of the Senate, Oji Uzor Kalu, has advised spokespersons to all the presidential candidates to desist from verbal attacks and focus on ideas and how to create jobs. He stated this when he granted audience to members of the Senate Press Corps.
People's democracy is about what we can do for the people. And I want you people to carry this message very strong.
The journalists were in his office to present him with the award of senator with the best constituency projects. From National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
The Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority will on Saturday, December 10th, unveil the maiden edition of the NSIA Prize for Innovation Program, NPI. The NPI program, which is to be launched at an event in Lagos, is structured as a business enhancement program to support early-stage growth-driven ideas through education, mentorship and financing. Governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, will serve as special guest of honor. Notable and respected digital ecosystem pundits will feature as guest speakers and panelists. Notably amongst them are Dunayo Eweniyi, co-founder and CEO, PiggyVest; Ralph Oluwole, co-founder, Helium Health; Abimbola Olufore; Wycliffe, Head Investment and Technology Promotion Office, UNIDO; Amal Hassan, MD, CEO, Outsource Global; Kola Aina, founding partner, Ventures Platform, among others. The board and management of the authority says it will provide the needed platform to share their strategy for the technology sector in Nigeria and also provide context to the vision behind the NSIA Prize for Innovation. Key speakers from the NSIA team include NSIA Non-Executive Director Ikemefuna Isekwena, NSIA Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer Aminu Umar Sadiq, NSIA Executive Director and Chief Investment Officer Kola Owoduni, and NSIA Executive Director Operations and Corporate Service Olubisi Makuju. Well, that's the news at 10 here on NTA News 24. We thank you for staying with us. We now join our outside broadcaster crew for a live broadcast, which is a briefing by General Lucky Irabo, the Chief of Defence Staff.
This is necessary for you to know that our work is not just limited to, action. This also, I believe, is available to you. Perhaps the NNPC Limited may have also given you the figures. But I thought that it's necessary for you to know that our work is not just limited to, fighting banditry and insurgency, but are also economic crimes that are being committed within the oil and gas space. So we are involved. And so by virtue of, some of these assets, the Falcon Eye, which is, an ISR platform that enables us to have, institutional awareness within the oil and gas space, has also assisted us. And then, a procurement of offshore patrol vessels, as well as, other equipment that we have been able to deploy to give us a sense as to the security disposition within the Nigerian space of the Gulf of Guinea. Our EEZ, of course, it's necessary for us to keep an eye on it, especially platforms. Then, of course, next, these are part of the assets that were procured, which helped us to have some form of fleet recapitalization. And then, of course, some of the achievements, we've been able to destroy so many of the illegal refineries and ovens, and then, of course, recovered over 35 million liters of crude, and even illegally refined diesel, as well as other assets that are there. And some of the pictures you're seeing attest to what we've done. Of course, a whole number of arrests have also been made. Many of them are undergoing prosecution. I'm sure you're very well aware of Hiroki Dun. I thought it's necessary for us to also bring it up as part of some of the efforts that we've made. And so, to that extent, currently there have been a ramp up of crude oil production and exports to about 1.6 million barrels. And I will hope that as we continue to interface with NNPC, that before February, we should be able to get to our OPEC quota. But I think I'm not the expert. I believe that perhaps the interaction you may have with NNPC should be able to give you more details on that. But just to let you know that our interaction, our work, working in synergy with NNPC have helped us to be able to arrest some of the malfeasance that have occurred within that space. Equally, working very closely with customs in the light of cross-border criminalities that have occurred, and so over 82,000 bags of imported rice, amongst other issues, have been impounded. With this, we work in concert with the customs. And of course, in the Northwest, issues of banditry, again, we were involved. I believe this is not new to you, under the auspices of Operation Hadarin Daji. And then, of course, many of the persons and those abducted, and then properties that are destroyed within the Northwest. Yes. And then, of course, to be able to get to where we are within the Northwest, we have to also, enhance the force structure to look at the that is order about to then reshape it, restructure it which has helped us to make improvement. And of course, we also leverage on technology, sort of the assets that private government, made available to us. We've been able to get a few, technology-enabled platforms that in the conduct of kinetic operations, employment of non-kinetic measures also, amongst other strategies that we employ. Yes, please. And then for that reason, over 362 bandits have been neutralized, recovered over 156 AK-47 rifles, and a great number of cache of ammunition. And then of course we've been able to also strangulate the logistic resupply route for the criminals, and of course averted several community clashes, restored socio-economic activities in the troubled areas, and arrested several criminal elements, including those who deal in drugs, as well as arms and ammunition. Then of course for the North Central, this is also not new to us in terms of the criminal activities. So next, again, within the North Central, what have we done? We looked at the force structure, and so you have different operational engagement that, within the North Central. You have, Operation Y Punch, as well as Operation Y Stroke, as well as Operation Safe Haven, which, of course, are in different parts, looking at the peculiarities of the areas of responsibility of these operations. As you know, across the country and across the geopolitical zones, the criminal activities are not uniform. They are peculiar. There are some, of course, that cut across, but there are also other criminal activities that are peculiar to geopolitical zones. And for that, we've been able to ensure that IDPs are back to their ancestral homes. Those who are kidnapped are rescued. The militia camps, of course, are also, destroyed. And of course, arrest of gun runners, among several other issues. Yes, sir. And then for the Southwest, you know this, that there is a pipeline that runs from Atlas Cove through to Mosimi, and that actually is for products. And so criminal elements have had to tamper with that right of way, building close to the right of way, and then ensuring that they use those structures to carry out illegal activities, siphoning of these products that have been for quite a number of years. And for that reason, Operation Awasi was established, that have also helped to reduce the cases of this madness. So this is why you may not have been hearing of some of those actions with respect to losses of products along that line. So we've also engaged with issues of agitations, and we worked in sympathy with the police and other security agencies to douse tension along that path. And of course, kidnapping and cultism, very rife in the Southwest, that we have also has formed part and parcel of what we've contended with over the years. And of course, to do this, again, organize and then the force composition as well as leadership, heighten operational engagements, of course, engage the media, just like we're doing today, and also engage in real-time intelligence platforms to be able to undertake these actions. That's how we've been able to, the entire 72-kilometer right of way of the NNPC pipeline has been secured very, very significantly. And of course, the dugout was used for siphoning. We've also not only did we discover, but equally destroy them, and the stolen products. And then what we also found was that because of the heightened activities within the South-South region, many of those criminal elements decide not to be stealing the crude and taken to the Southwest to also refine. That also observed, and we had that curtailed, and of course arresting many of those who are involved. And then for the Southeast, secessionists, the IPOB ESN challenge, of course, that's known to you, and even currently many of the propaganda videos that are trending as to what they intend to do with this youth season. They were also working in partnership with the police and other security agencies to see that that is also addressed. And of course, issues of land dispute, kidnapping, among several other issues. And then we've been able to identify some of the gang leaders, and then of course through intelligence also getting to know the camps and hideouts, and then some form of sensitization of the inhabitants of the southeast for them to understand the antics of the criminals, and then what they stand to risk by way of the disadvantage that is bringing to the region, and then what they will gain by engaging with government forces and working together for us to zeroing on the criminal element so that normal life can continue to thrive within the southeast. And of course, we've been able to destroy the camps, arrest some of their key leaders, and then of course some of the sponsors and collaborators. They're cooling off in various centers, and of course also been going through the judicial process. Yes, with key stakeholders, including religious and traditional rulers, and the recruitment of local sources of informants, and then also civil military cooperation, activities to ensure that they understand that the government forces are not against them, but rather working together to ensure their safety and protection. Yes, and so perhaps for this last slide, I'd like to, since I'm speaking to men and women of the fourth estate of the realm, is to understand that for us, we have also desires for you, and that it's necessary for us to create and influence public opinion to support military operations. Now, I say military operations because I speak for the armed forces, I lead the armed forces under the direction of the commander-in-chief. But then the military there is also, incorporating the police and other security agencies. So for me, my desire and my appeal to you is that we need to understand who our common enemy is, because the enemy that you see as the enemy of the state is actually your enemy. And so it's for you to be able to focus, zero in on him, and for us together to be able to arrest so we can have better quality of life. We can't continue to think that the military is the enemy of the people. So we think that you changing that narrative, you helping to bring greater awareness to the people, will enable us to be more potent in our actions. Of course, if there are areas where we have crossed the line, it's necessary for you to bring it out to our notice and then we'll address them. And I thought it's also necessary for you to keep the public informed with balanced coverage on our successes. I think that it's not only when we have underperformed or below average that you're zeroing on. I think that it's also necessary to give hope to the people by looking at what success we've been able to achieve. In that sense, there will be some form of balance. Of course, I also thought that it's necessary for us to be driven by for us to build a country. You are operating because there is a sovereign. You are able to undertake your activities because there is a sovereign. And so if we lose the sovereign by virtue of inadvertent reportage, then of course we will be imperiled. So it's for us to have that understanding so that at the end of the day, we will be able to understand that this work is for everyone of us. It is not just for a select few. I also thought it's necessary for us to promote coordination and collaboration between the military and security agencies and of course all the stakeholders. And I think that you stand in a very unique position to do so. So I thought that I could avail this opportunity for you to keep that, to present it to you and to keep it in context. So in conclusion, let me thank you for listening and to also say that the armed forces have been able to heighten operational engagement across the country to tackle contemporary security challenges. And then, of course, the contingency plans that will facilitate the smooth conduct of the 2023 elections is also part of what we've been able to put in place. The police, of course, is the lead in this. but we believe that we'll be at the periphery to give assistance as requested by INEC. So that's I thought is also so no. We will not be at the forefront, but we believe that where there is need for us to intervene to assist the police, we do. So we've been able to place contingency measures that will enable us to be able to play a role in that sense. And then there are efforts that are made that are in place to safeguard critical national infrastructures. And this is essential so that you and I can use the infrastructure that government has provided for your good and for my good and for the good of the people. And those who are bent on having to destroy them, we will take appropriate actions. And then, of course, with your support, we'll have them dealt with in accordance with the law. And of course, the armed forces is committed to meeting its constitutional imperatives. We remain apolitical. The armed forces is the armed forces of the people, the armed forces of the state. Will remain apolitical, and will also remain subject to civil authority. The armed forces, as we have it and I lead, is the armed forces that is totally subordinated to the Constitution of the Federal Republic. So my commander-in-chief, of course, you were subordinated to him and to also the Constitution. The Constitution empowers the commander-in-chief to give direction to the armed forces, and I just thought it's necessary for us to have that, understanding and that confidence that the armed forces is totally subordinated. So on that note, let me thank you for this privilege, and I look forward to answering all your questions. Thank you.
Information is power. Everyone wants power. So feel powerful with the NTA News mobile app.